Welcome. I'm Nira Berry, happiness coach, success coach, and motivational speaker, and your host of Happy and Healthy, where we explore and discover all the many ways of keeping you feeling happy and healthy. And stay tuned to the end for my Good to Know segment, where I've always got something good to share with you. So today we're going to learn all different ways that we can juggle our busy lives in a healthy and positive way. So I want you to please welcome my guest today, Monique Samuels.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks
Um,
for
so, uh,
having
so Monique is a former star of the Real Housewives of Potomac, the TV show. She created the Not for Lazy Moms community, is its CEO, and hosts its podcast. And recently, she debuted her own line of essential oils called Mila Eve Essentials. I didn't even get a chance to mention all the other projects and philanthropy that you're involved in, Monique. Plus, you're a mom of little ones. Like, phew, like you're doing a lot.
Always a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So I really appreciate you being here. And I love what your the website tagline states. We want it all, we do it all. Like
Yeah,
I think that's really great.
that pretty much sums up my life. And I've always been a go-getter. I've always been a person where I don't want any limits. I don't want any limitations. I want to just achieve and be able to help people along the way. And I've been able to do that with Not for Lazy Moms. Our community was actually started to help people and encourage people to share. When I became a mom, I felt like I was prepared, but once I had my first son, I was like, wow, there's a lot that I didn't know. Why didn't anybody tell me? So Not for Lazy Moms started as a way for us to just share. How do you get by? What are your tips and tricks? How do you get out the door? And you can look put together, and you have these little ones who also look put together, so how do you do it? And what are some natural remedies and alternatives that you can use when you're feeling under the weather to boost your immune system? What are some lifestyle tips? And how is it that people, when it comes to being a mom, sometimes we're some of the most judged, how can we,
Absolutely.
yes. And it's like, how can you create an environment where people realize, hey, we're all struggling here. Some of us just struggle a little different than others, but the struggle's the same. Let's share our stories. Let's share some of the things that we would never tell in public. Let's just share it. And we have a confessions wall on our website where people can just express themselves, and they tell some of the funniest stories. Some of the stories are really deep, but most of them are very lighthearted, and it's stuff that all of us do as parents, and we would never guess that other people were doing it too. So it's just that space to just be open and share your story, share your struggles. And it just helps you to realize that I'm an awesome parent. There's no handbook, but I'm going to do as best that I can, to make sure that my kids have everything that they need, and, join the community that helps people to feel that they're okay. And it's all right to not be perfect. None of us are. So that's how Not for Lazy Moms came to be.
I love that. I really love that because there really isn't a handbook. And, we're all individuals and unique, but, very often we go through the same struggle. So why not share that information? So how
Yeah.
does it work? Like, how do you share the information?
So with Not for Lazy Moms, we actually share the information through written articles. We call them NFLM quick tips. So we have different tips that we give, and they could be about anything. It could be about health. It could be about just, like tips for how to get out the house fast, or for dressing your kids, where are the best places to go to shop for your children when they have different age groups, or, how do I make Play-Doh, how-to videos. It can be anything. It's very broad in what we cover. And we also get the information out through our podcast. So we have a podcast called Not for Lazy Moms with Monique Samuels. My husband is one of my co-hosts, and I have another co-host named Allie. And we're all three different types of people. We approach things very differently. So to hear everyone's perspective, I feel like it's a well-rounded show, because we hit on everybody's viewpoint, so you definitely can feel the connection there. So that's how we get the information out. And we just try to be that middle person between the best of the best resources or services and the everyday mom, dad, or individual.
That's great. And I love it that that your husband also gives his 2 cents in as
Okay.
well, his input, and yeah, that's wonderful. So
Yeah.
people, do you have like specific people that put in information on the different topics, or can people just upload information?
So we have contributors that we actually went through a whole onboarding process. We make sure that we get a certain amount of articles from those people every month. And we're very active on social media. So we ask our community, we ask them, hey, is there something that you would like to talk about? Is there something that you want to know more about? They give us their feedback, and that's what we build our content around. We also have a YouTube channel. We go live every Wednesday for Wind Down Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And every week, we're just sitting back, having a glass of wine, sharing stories. We have special guests that will join us from time to time. We have different wine sponsors that actually come on our show, and we taste test their wines live. We just have a good time, and it just gives you that outlet, especially for people who have, we're all coming out of this pandemic. People are at home with their kids who aren't always used to being home with their kids. So it's just a nice outlet. And we just try to lighten the load. We give all of our tips on just how to create a routine, how to get things done, and you still don't feel burned out. So just having those different tips to keep you going when you're a busy mom and you're also trying to accomplish your mom goals, your wife goals, or spouse goals, and then your goals for yourself. So I always start with different tips, and one of mine, when it comes to keeping it all together, creating a routine. Routine is key. If you don't have a routine, it's going to be very hard. Like with my kids at bedtime, if they don't have a bedtime routine, that throws off everything that I might need to get done that night after they go to sleep, or
Yeah,
the morning when I wake up. So
yeah,
having those
definitely.
that routine established so that the kids are in a well-established system and you can depend on it. I always say create office hours when you work from home. So for me, going through the pandemic, it really wasn't difficult because I've always worked from home. So being able to establish those office hours, where I'll get up at 6:30 and I may do all of my work up until 12 o'clock, and then I'm with my kids from whatever time after that. But I try to get all of my work done by 5 o'clock, 5:30, at the latest 6.
So
And
how do you do that? Because I know that that's something that I know a lot of people are struggling with. So
yeah.
how do you keep it limited to that?
Oh, setting your goal setting. So I break down anything that I need to get done. I'm a list person. I cannot exist without a list. I have my little checklist, and I'll just start jotting down. I normally do it every quarter. So every 3 months, I'll kind of like jot down everything that I want to accomplish over the next 3 months. And I'll just set it up so that I'm doing a little bit every day, not all of it every day. So I think that's the key, is really trying to pace yourself. And in the beginning, it's going to take a lot of hours just to get the routine going and to establish a nice rhythm. But once you get into that routine, it is just amazing. And you'll actually start to see that you'll have more time than you thought you did. You'll start seeing those little check marks being put down on each individual assignment. And you look back and you're like, you feel so accomplished. And it helps you to realize, what do I need to do right now? What is my top priority right now? What can wait? And you kind of space it out that way. And then you make sure that you know what your priorities are. For me, God, family, and then work. So I make sure that my kids are always feeling as if they're involved. If I have to get things done, I involve them in whatever it is that I'm doing. So I'm always making sure that we get that time together. Yeah. And then in the evenings, that's cutoff time. That's when we have dinner. We sometimes watch movies, and then baths in bed. So we try to make sure that every hour is really accounted for, and you don't wake up feeling like, I feel so unproductive. I've spent all day, and what did I accomplish? Well, I have a checklist and I can see everything that I accomplished. And then I know what I can save for tomorrow or for the next day.
I know it feels so good to, like, you can check something off that you've accomplished, because that just gives you so much, like, self pride, and
Yeah.
you've done something with, even if it's just the one thing that you've done that day.
Yeah.
Have you always been that kind of a person that wrote, that organized and wrote your to do lists?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's just been something that I've always been, it's just been a part of me since I was a kid. I have to be able to see things physically, and I have so much on my mind that I want to do that I have to get it out some type of way. So I have notebooks everywhere. I have binders. I have everything that I need in order to like make sure I stay organized and everything is in order and I get it checked off the list and I'm good to go. That has always been me. And some people, they find it funny, but I'm like, I need my checklist. Whether
Well,
it's in
it's funny. I'm laughing because that's the way I am. I have lists everywhere. Like I have them; they're everywhere, and and it's like, sometimes people don't know. Is it a list for me? Like I also make lists for what my husband needs to do or my kids.
absolutely, absolutely. Those are the most important ones for everybody else.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yes.
yes, I have to have my list. My checklist really keep me on point, and it helps me because I'm a person that if you give me all day, I will try to accomplish everything all at once. I won't stop. So I have to pace myself because I'm just a very high energy person. And I will work, 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 and I enjoy it. I enjoy what I do. So it's hard sometimes to pull away. So I have to put myself on that restriction to just know, like, all right, here's what you're going to do today. Once you're done with that, you're not doing anything else. Now it's me time. Now it's time with the family. It's time with your husband, and just trying to pace yourself. And I'm not always perfect with it. I'm never perfect with it. But it gives me a goal. It helps me with goal setting, and it also helps me to just kind of space everything out. Not feeling like I have to do everything this week. I have to get it done. Just being reasonable with your time and knowing, okay, if I get this done in July or August or September, is that going to like hurt what I'm doing currently? So I can push this off for later, or I can tackle it now, and just knowing what's most needed at the moment versus what can wait.
Yeah. So I can see that you're definitely a high energy person. So do you have any tips for, like, let's say somebody that's not a high energy person as far as getting through their list? Is
Oh,
there any tips for that?
yeah. I just feel like if you are making a list, just space it out. Like I feel like even if you don't have high energy, like for my husband, I may give him a list at the top of the year, and it may be midway through the year and he didn't do everything, but he got a few check marks. So I say to those people, give yourself credit for what you do accomplish, and don't get so frustrated. Rome didn't build itself in a day. So, it's like just making sure that you are being productive and you're moving forward versus backward. If you did one thing that you said, I am setting this goal this month, I'm going to get this done. If you did just that one thing that one month, that is accomplishment. That is an accomplishment. It should be recognized and it should be praised. And just do what is best for you and what is good for your pace. So everyone's different. So just being reasonable with yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like what I say to my coaching clients often, my life coaching clients, that they feel like, oh, I haven't done this or I haven't done that, I haven't accomplished anything, and then I ask them a few questions about what they have done, and
Right.
then they actually have done a lot more than they give themselves credit for. And when you don't give yourself the credit for actually doing something, then it makes you even hard. It makes it even harder for you to move forward and do something. So I always say, like, pat yourself on the back, give yourself credit for what you've done, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. I will set a goal, and then it just feels so good when you're like, okay, I checked that off the list. Let me go ahead to the next thing. And if you need
Absolutely.
time, if you need a break, it's okay. Give yourself a break. You deserve it.
Yeah.
You don't want to overwhelm yourself. And if that's what life is about, then what's the point? Like you want to be able to truly enjoy anything that you're involved in, whether it's work or
Absolutely.
family. So just make sure you're really living in that moment and enjoying that time too. So
Yeah. I love that. So so we're gonna take a short break and we're gonna come right back. So stay tuned.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy, and we're speaking with Monique Samuels, and she's giving us tips and how to juggle our busy lives. So Monique, I know with your Not for Lazy Moms website, you get a lot of questions or inquiries or what people are most interested in. So I was just curious if you could share that with us. Like, what's the number one question that people ask you?
The number one question is, how do you keep it all together? How are you able to do all that you do and still be so hands-on with your children and your husband? And I tell them it's all about the routine. Like, if I don't know any other way to exist without having structure and routine. I am not a person that can just wing it. I'm not. I reserve my weekends for family. I rarely work on Saturday and Sundays unless I'm fulfilling Mila Eve Essentials orders. But I do that with my family. But you have to have something to look forward to. And you also have to realize that you deserve to give a little extra time for yourself. So if that means getting up earlier so that you can get yourself together, then that's what you got to do, So for me, I love waking up early. I don't love waking up early, but I love it because it does provide me the time so that I can just take my time. I can get a shower in peace. I can put my makeup on my face. I can do my hair and not feel rushed, while everybody else is still asleep. So it's just about prioritizing what's most important to you. Some people don't really care about getting up and getting out the house. It just matters to what you want for yourself and then for your family. But I always get asked, how do you keep it all together? I'm like, routine, schedule it, set office hours. And that makes for a happier flow. Your kids have something to look forward to throughout the day and just makes life a lot smoother.
Yeah, I think that kids actually thrive better when there's structure.
Mm-hmm.
That's from what all the studies that I've read. So I can see that happening. So, what's the type of feedback that you've gotten? Like, have people contacted you and said, like, oh, I did this and it's changed my life? Have you gotten that kind of feedback from anybody that you can share with us?
Yeah, we get a lot of comments on our social media, Not for Lazy Moms social media, and even on our website. So they'll let us know what they've implemented, and we'll make a post, like a quick tip, for remedies or anything. And we get feedback and people let us know, like, oh my God, I tried that and that worked. I think one of the most shocking quick tips that I've ever given, and people love it. They're always a little funny about it at first, but then they try it and they're like, oh my God. I told people, if you have, especially for like a young child, like an infant, if they ever have a stuffy nose or a nagging cough, and you can do this for children and for adults, I told them to get a white onion, cut it in fours, put it on a plate, and sit that on your nightstand near where you sleep. And within about 15 minutes, you're going to be breathing much easier, or that nagging cough will subside. And every time I tell people, they're like, what? That just sounds crazy. Onions stink. They don't believe it until they get to that moment of desperation when they have that 2-month-old baby that can't breathe out their nose and they're crying. Get an onion. I've had so many people try it and they're like, oh my God, that really works. They're like amazed. Yes. And I always recommend that for people that have young children when they're going through allergy season or cold and flu season, when they're around people and they pick up a little germ and their nose is stuffy. That is the worst when you have a baby that cannot breathe through their nose. It is a nightmare. So I tell them the easiest thing, get a white onion. I always have onions in my house. We are stocked. And then I had to also back that with to get the smell out. If you let the onion sit too long, your room's going to smell like onions. So if you brew, if you brew a pot of coffee in that room where you had the onion, it immediately kills the smell. I don't know why, but it really works.
Wow, that's amazing. I could have used that onion yesterday for a 8-month-old, grandson. That's amazing.
Yeah,
it really nose, and that would have been great. Yeah, I recommend that one. That's great.
Yeah, onion will open up. It's something about I guess germs would rather be in the onion than in you. So it's almost like this transfer just happens. Like, it's amazing. But it was something that my great grandmother taught me. And I just pass it on to people, and it really works. Those old remedies work.
They do. The reason why we keep hearing about them is because they have worked, and
Yeah.
otherwise, nobody would be doing it anymore.
Exactly. Oh man, we have to keep that knowledge flowing. Let people know, so they pass it down to their kids.
Yeah. So, any other common type of inquiries or complaints that you've come across?
Yes. So potty training is a huge one. And I actually have a book which is sitting behind me, Potty Training Mommy and Daddy. It's a guide for introducing infant potty training as early as 6 months old. And
people, really?
They're always puzzled. How do you potty train a 6-month-old? Well, it's an introduction. So the sooner you introduce the potty, the sooner and the easier it will be for them to potty train, and they will not develop that fear of the toilet because they'll always know what it's for. I did it with all 3 of my kids, and I even potty trained my parrot. So it works. But yes, I give a lot of tips and tricks in this book. It's a short, quick, easy read. I'm always trying to be respectful of the busy parent, when you really don't have time to pick up that thick book and read. Even with the articles that you'll see on notforlazymoms.com, I keep everything short, to the point, packed with a lot of great, useful information. But I like to make sure that it doesn't take up too much of your time. And then we have the podcast where you can listen as well. But the biggest question I get from people is, how do you potty train a 6-month-old? And I just tell them it's all about that routine. Once again, once you can figure out how often they go, how soon they go after they've had a meal, then you can catch it, and you put that baby on that potty. Once they actually go, and you make a big deal about it, babies want to please mommy and daddy. So if you're screaming and saying, oh my God, yay, that's good, they're gonna be like, oh, really? I just did that, and that was a big deal, and I got all of this. Okay, let me do that again. Then when they start to realize, oh, I don't have to sit in that mess. Babies are born with the idea of being clean and neat. They don't want to sit in mess. That's why a lot of times when you pull that diaper off, there goes the sprinklers. It's like they want it off of them. So it's encouraging that natural behavior, and not telling our kids for 2 years, it's okay to sit and poop. It's okay to mess yourself. It's okay. Then when they're 2, it's like, whoa, don't do that. Where'd you get that idea? You got to do it. It's like, I don't want to have to reteach and for my child to relearn something that I allowed them to do for so long. So if you can start them while they're still babies, when they start sitting up is when I start doing it. And if you can start them as soon as they start sitting up, they'll never remember not using the potty. They'll always look at it as, yeah, this is just what I do. So my kids
have thought about that. I never thought about that, but it does make a lot of sense.
Right. It's crazy.
And I'm impressed that you trained your, is it Chala?
Yes. He goes on command. Before I pick him up to put him on my shoulder, I'll ask him if he has to go. I'm like, do you have he has a command word. His word for it is Igbe, which is poop in Yoruba. So I say Igbe, and if he has to go, he'll go. And then I'll put him on my shoulder. And to the point now, if he does have to go and he's on my shoulder, he'll fly off of me, go handle his business, and then he'll come back. Wow. But the thing is, if he has an accident and he, for whatever reason, he done waited too long and he went on me, he'll look at me and I'll look at him and he'll just fly away like, I shouldn't have did that. He knows better.
That's funny.
Yes.
Well, I wanted to ask you, since we're running a little short on time, I wanted to, give you opportunity just to tell us, why did you start this therapeutic essential oils? Why did you launch this Mila Eve Essentials?
Yes. So because I was on reality TV, people saw all the time when I was on Real Housewives of Potomac, they would see me using essential oils. And I would use them faithfully. I still do. I use them every single day. They're a part of my natural routine. And people wanted to know, where can I get your oils? And I'm like, oh, I don't have my own. Well, we want to buy your oils. So I was like, okay. I looked into it and was trying to figure out what would the process be. I was able to start Mila Eve Essentials, all because of the fans and supporters and viewers of the show. So
what do you use the most? Like, how do you use it?
I use every day, all day. So I have so many oils sitting on my nightstand and I just like whatever I'm in the mood for. So if my kids are going through allergy season, I'll do a lot of diffusing oregano, eucalyptus, peppermint, lavender, lemon. I do combinations, but I also have blends for people who don't like to mix and just like play around with it like me. I actually have blends for specific needs. So I have, for instance, an oil called Head Aid. And it is amazing for migraine and for headaches and for tension headaches and sinus.
Like peppermint?
It has, I'm sorry, it has 5 different oils all mixed in. Peppermint is one of them. Yeah. And it has I believe Roman chamomile is in that one. It's very soothing. I also have an essential oil called Sinus Relief that you can use directly around your nasal passage and it will open you up. So we have so many different blends and they're 100% pure. They're therapeutic. I got really concerned because a lot of people started buying oils and they don't know there's a difference between aromatherapy and therapeutic. Aromatherapy, I tell people to stay away from it. It has fragrances. It's filled with chemicals. And not going to be good for your body. Oils have the ability to go in your bloodstream even when you're inhaling them. So you have to be very cautious.
That's really good information. And I'm ready to buy your Mila Eve essential oils. So definitely I'm interested in that because I know like I use like a little bit of lavender sometimes, like when I want to go to sleep, that helps relax me. And
we have a blend called Sleep Tight. And it will put lavender to shame.
Oh, wow.
It has all
I'll have to look into that. But
yes.
You know what? We're running out of time. I'd love to talk to you longer, but tell us what is it? People want to find your website. What is it?
Yes, they can find me at moniquesamuels.com. So any and all information, you can be connected to Not for Lazy Moms, Mila Eve Essentials, and my YouTube channels, all by visiting moniquesamuels.com. All the information is there. Okay, and reach out to me. I'm always here.
Wonderful, wonderful. And just really fast, what's the one thing, if you had time and you want to do for fun, what's the one thing you'd like to do for fun? Like in 1 second.
In movies. I love to watch movies with my kids and my husband.
Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you so much, Monique, for being my guest today. It was really wonderful interviewing you, and you gave us a lot of really good information. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. I would love to do it again.
So thank you. So we're going to continue with our show for my Good to Know segments coming up. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Nira Berry, the happiness coach, success coach, and motivational speaker. And now it's time for Good to Know. And as part of my series on success in work and life, I'm going to share with you my ideas and techniques that will help you stay on course so you'll feel less stressed and boost your overall happiness and success. Now, there are many paths and tools to happiness, and putting off the hard stuff can put a dent in our happiness in the long run. How often have you waited till the last minute to do a task? How many of us have turned in assignments like for work or school just under the deadline? We can fill up our time checking emails or whether or not you check your social media endlessly. Does that sound familiar? Well, you're in good company because studies show that 95% of us have procrastinated on one thing or another, at some point in our lives. And a great majority of us do this regularly. So why is overcoming procrastination so important, you may ask? Well, it's a matter of having regret and even feeling ashamed of ourselves. And this regret can dig and dig into our overall happiness and our psyche. So when you procrastinate, by definition, you're putting off something that even though you'll regret it. Like, you may be staying up late, rushing like nuts to get it done. And, you're putting off another task that's probably more important. This also impacts other people negatively as well in the process, right? So don't confuse procrastination with laziness. That's the one thing I wanted you to know. They are two different things. Laziness is just us not wanting to do something. We're inactive. We're like slugs, right? Like, I'll do it tomorrow. Or as someone I know in my family always says, I'll do it on Monday. When we're procrastinating, we're doing something else, even though we realize the importance of the task we're not doing. And it's really a choice we're making. Procrastination is just a habit. And like all bad habits, it can be overcome if we want it, right? And the more that we do it, the more it becomes ingrained in us and the harder to break from. So, what I tell my coaching clients is I help them first determine why they do it. Like, is it because their tasks are dull? Then figure out a way to make it more interesting. Are you disorganized? Well, make yourself a list of to-dos and then really stick to it. I know for some of us, it's just that we don't have the confidence in ourselves to do it right, that we'll be successful at it. And I know this is a tough one to overcome. And I know this because this has happened to me too. And I was feeling yucky about myself because I kept putting off an important project. So, what worked for me is to focus on how great I would feel once I accomplished it. And it really worked. Although I did drag my feet getting it done, but as a result, I feel better about myself. So think about what you've been putting off and if you'll feel happier once you do it, because the regret of not accomplishing your project and task can pull you down. So my question for you is, what are you waiting for? So just be like Nike and just do it. So let me know if you're ready to overcome your procrastination. And if you need help to get started, you can always contact me, Nira Berry, the happiness coach, at info@niraberry.com. I look forward to hearing from you. So thanks for watching Happy and Healthy. I'm Nira Berry, your host, and I hope you have a happy day.